Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining. My name is Jack Reynolds. I'll be helping to moderate today's webinar. With me is Leslie Pendery, Senior Performance Manager at Dealer.com. Today, Leslie is going to talk about how to build a winning web presence by giving you a tour of the new Page Designer. A few housekeeping items before we get started. All attendees have been muted, but if you have questions throughout the session, please put them in the GoTo console on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll take 10 to 15 minutes at the end for questions, and we will be sending a recording of the presentation after the webinar. Leslie, go ahead and take it away.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for the introduction, Jack. It's much appreciated. Again, I'm Leslie. I'm a Senior Performance Manager at Dealer.com. I've been with DDC for just over 5 years. I'm super excited to share the updates and enhancements to our Page Designer tool with you today. It is a part of every website's backend, just so everyone knows. It's a tool that everyone has access to. So a quick agenda, we'll go through what Page Designer is, some tips and tricks that I've found for easy page building. We'll do some page examples, mobile preference changes, and then takeaways and questions. So what is Page Designer? Essentially, you have the power to amplify your web presence with a sleek and easy to build responsive page tool. And I'm here today to share some of my best practices, tips and tricks, and a few sample pages that we've developed in the performance management organization to help you get the most out of it. And just a reminder, I'm not selling you anything. This is an absolutely free tool that is included in the back end of your Dealer.com website. So what is it? It's a state-of-the-art page building tool that helps you quickly build pages. So if you guys are ready, I'm going to go ahead and show you around. First, we'll start off with a quick tour of the Page Designer tool. And a reminder, you can start using this right away. It's super easy to access. You click into the website just like you would to build a page normally. And then you hit Let's Go on the prompt instead of the option for the legacy page builder. So you'll click into that blue box. It's super easy to start a page. For example, I added my title and URL string right there in the top right. And then I'll show you how you can edit the URL if you need to later. You would click Add Section to see the Page Designer section options. And this is just a sample library screen. So the section library will pop up on the right-hand side of your page with options to add, and then hit Done when you're finished. This is just another sample of what's in the library. As you can see, there's plenty of choices, and I've only picked just a few for image purposes. So wait, what are sections? Sections are where you place your technology on the page. It holds its spot. There are many options for easily modifying the sections, such as color, background, and video, that we'll cover soon. You can also choose an empty section to hold different page options, like company hours or your video. So what kind of technology can I add? This is just a small sample of the available offerings to add to your pages. You can do anything that you already can do with our existing page builder and so much more. You can add empty sections to other widgets. And then even better, there's a new section options being added all the time. I heard a rumor that there's a few new ones coming out this week even. So the great news is that this screen might look familiar to anyone familiar with our legacy page building tool. You can also add any existing technology in the existing tool to the new Page Designer pages also. You are not limited to the pages in the section library. So to start off, I was going to share some of my tips and tricks that make it easier for building pages. My first favorite trick is preloading my images in the media library and naming them. In this image here, I do have our new media library, and you would click in the top left-hand corner to create a new folder. Name your folder something that you'll remember what it is, and then hit Add Folder. I like to use the folders that I've created to keep my images separated depending on the project or intent. Sometimes for staff photos, for slides, etc. The amazing part of the new media library is that you can drag and drop images into the folders, and you can rename your images while you're uploading them, which makes it really easy to find them later. So in my example, you can either drag and drop from a traditional folder or click browse and add the images the traditional way. Once you have them loaded, you just hit upload media, and it pulls up the list of the images that you're uploading. This is where you can rename them before uploading, and it's that easy. That way you can easily find your pictures again later. You can search by these titles also. My second favorite trick is using a notepad for easy text transfer. I like to use the notepad on my computer, but I know some people prefer just to write notes on a legal pad. It's whatever works for you. I like to just have my thoughts organized before I begin. If you are using a notepad, the best way to do it is you can copy and paste and then use the editing tools right there on the page to perfect your format. It's super easy. So you paste into the circle, into your content widget, and then up at the top left are all your traditional editing tools. Then you would just hit save. My last tip is to have your inspiration handy, or if there's a design you already have in mind, or a sketch. It's all up to the individual and what helps you be successful. I sometimes also will pull up a page on another screen so that I can kind of follow along and build that way. So to wrap that up, have your images prepared in advance, use a notepad for easy text transfer, and having an idea of what you want to accomplish will save you a lot of time. But really, you're here to see how easy it is, so we're gonna keep going. So if you're curious how long it would really take to pull a page together, it's so fast and your pages really will be done in no time. I made a quick video just to show how fast you could put a page together. We'll click in and then we'll title it, edit our title, and we'll hit create the page and it automatically populates the new page for me. I'm going to show you how easy you can just add in the widgets and the technology and get your page started. So we'll add just a couple of our sections here just to fill out the page for us. One nice note is anything that would hold an image generally will pre-populate an image or a background for you. And then you can go through and replace them later. We've added all of our sections to the page. We'll go through and add in a photo real fast by clicking into the media library. Or add text. And then you can change the heading to get a nice title at the top of your page. And then your page is complete. Obviously, you could go back and add any content that you wish, but you've got your cell and your URL ready to go. So we can add in some more images if we want. And since I already have all my images stored in my folder, it's super quick for me just to go in and add my photo here to finish off my page. I always refresh when I'm done just to see how it looks. And so in about a minute and a half, I've put together a pretty good shell of a page to get me started. So adding custom images to a page, just in case you aren't familiar, here's how you can quickly add an image to a page. Next, I'll show you how to adjust the background. So you click into your content area where you'd like to place the image, and then you just go into the media library, select your image and hit save. So on this one, what we'll do is we'll add some images and then adjust the background. And then I'll show you some cool and simple background changes that you can make. Go in and click into your page designer. Click into the area of what you want to edit. A cool tip here is as you hover over the list, it will turn blue to show you what area you're working on so you can compare that to your list. So we've selected the background for that photo and we turned it dark gray to give it some contrast. So then we're going to go through and continue to add a little more contrast and color to this page. We've decided we want to put a background behind our comparison with graph also. So you can test it out based on the design template of your website. Sometimes the colors will look perfect and sometimes they'll be a little too much and you'll just want to adjust to a different one. So for this one, I chose dark and it's just too much dark gray on the page. So I'm going to go back and make an edit. So it's that easy to go back and change once you've done it. Just go back to the background color and you can switch it to primary, which will generally be one of the default colors of your website. And then as you scroll down, we now have a blue background. One thing to note too, with a simple quick assist from your performance manager, you can add gradients to the images and backgrounds also. And so I'll show you on the next slide what you can easily do with just a quick little bit of help from us. So on this one, we just used a 50/50 content widget, which is one of your section options. We applied a gradient to it, and then we've added a KBB widget to the other side. These are the kind of up levels that your performance manager really enjoys helping do on pages. We have so much fun doing this, and we're more than happy to help in any way that we can. So it's really just that simple. You can bring instant value to your pages, make them more attractive, they look professional, and you can quickly customize your website. So the next scenario that I chose was revamping a service page and how you can add value and attractive images to your service page. So this image here is an example of a standard service center landing page. It's unengaging, it's flat, it's boring. There's no draw to act or communicate with the dealership in any way. There's nothing attractive that will entice a shopper. So one way that we can do this is feature previews, which we'll show in the page designer for some basic page formats. We'll click this and get started for our new beautiful page. Feature previews are basic upgrades to a few main page types that are in Control Center. There are select OEMs that we do not have these available for, but your performance manager can assist you if you like the feel of those pages. So I'm going to show you a quick demonstration of how we would use the feature preview to update a page quickly. And what this will do is we'll automatically build a draft for you, which is one of my most favorite features of the page designer tool. Historically, all of our page changes were live, and that was kind of a pain when you were in the middle of working on something or didn't have it done, in one day. So I found that one to be pretty exciting. But this feature preview draft added some value proposition statements to the website. It's adding CTAs for inventory, parts department, about us, ways to contact. So what we'll do is go ahead and hit apply draft, and it immediately publishes your new page. You had the option of saving that also if you wanted to, but for intents and purposes, we're just going to go forward. The service scheduler links on this particular page, I know they will always go to a default scheduling page in the system. So one good trick to know is if you have a custom URL for your service scheduler, make sure you switch out those links. And if you need help finding those URLs also, again, we're happy to help. This is just a quick demonstration of showing how easy it is to customize your page and make it pretty. So in just a couple of minutes, you could recreate your service page into something exciting and enticing for a consumer. So this is a zoomed out view of what that page would look like when it was finished. We've added actionable CTAs to schedule service, view inventory, view the specials, contact the dealership directly. There's information about the store, and there's additional SEO content. So why would we want to add the CTAs and value statements? It makes your page that much more attractive. It's got searchable content that will help you with Google searches, and it looks professional with clear calls to action. The third scenario that we chose was an easy lease return page. A lot of dealerships are offering to buy out leases regardless of the OEM or where the shopper leased from originally. With trade-in values higher than they've ever been before, shoppers can get out of a lease earlier than ever. I've been recommending lease return pages. Just a simple landing page with a contact form that either goes to your CRM or to a specific person at the dealership if you have someone in mind. So it would be very easy to build one. You're going to open your page builder, choose the format that you wish to use, pick your technology, and then you can customize the backgrounds and images, and then we'll test our lead form. So I wanted to show a sample of a page I made with a dealer's input the other day. It took us about 5 minutes, and that was including him selecting images. The options are pretty much limitless with the page designer tool, and you can quickly make a really professional looking page that looks like it was pushed from the OEM on your website. So for customizing the lease return page, it's a lot of the same similar things. You're creating unique content for your website for Google searches. You're marketing your lease returns in an attractive way. And then everyone's favorite, it's a lead generator for your sales department. Another one I get asked about a lot is a model comparison page and how you would go to put one together. Essentially, you're stuck working on a project at the dealership. Your boss mentioned that you need to show off the new F-150 versus the competition, and you have no idea where to start. So what would you do? Competition can increase traffic and leads, and we all want more leads. Show the benefits of your new model, and then show comparison also shows industry awareness for you. So we would gather our content, upload our images, and outline our idea for our page. And then we would assemble it by clicking into our page designer. Let's go. We'll go ahead and title our page. And then hit create page. And then we're going to select the technology that we want to add to the page. So for this one, we know we're going to need content widgets because we've got text and images that we want to add. I know that I've got 3 smaller photos that I want to add, so I'm going to use that content thirds for that. Probably place some more text below that. And then we're going to add a lead form and a contact and map for the bottom of the page. One important thing to note when adding lead forms to pages, just so everyone knows, is make sure and test your lead routing in the naming of the form so that you can locate these leads and take care of them appropriately. So for this, we'll go through and add our images. And they're pulled from the folder that we already have everything titled and saved in. And since we've added the image and it didn't center, just highlight the image and click the little center icon in the editor, and it'll center your image for you. And then we're going to go through and use our notepad and copy and paste our text that we had ready for the page. So we'll save that. And if you hit the little gear, you can actually title the widget. And so that will give you a nice bold title above your text that you don't have to worry about formatting within your content. So we'll go down and we're going to add our 3 images that we had saved just to break up the content on this page a little bit and keep it visually appealing while still showing model interest. The cool thing with these is you can go through and quickly add your photos. And if you notice, they're super easy to find because I know what I've called them. You notice I mentioned titling images a lot. It really is that helpful, especially having them all in the folder I expect them to be. So another good trick here is you can go through and title these and put those nice headings on them as well, just like you would those content paragraphs. So as we can go through and put the title on these and hit save, and then you can go through and do that for each one. And so really in a matter of no time, we're pretty easily pulling together a page that looks professional. It looks like you worked very hard on it, which we do. But at the same time, the new page designer makes it easy to make your pages look great. Just the advancements to this tool alone in the last year have just been absolutely amazing. And so that is one of the reasons that we're super excited to share this with you today, to make sure that everyone is getting full advantage of the tool and everything that it can do. So after we get these all titled, we'll hit save, and then we're going to continue to edit our page. So we've got our image headings. We've got a comparison grid that we want to add. So we'll go ahead and put that in there. I built this beforehand in Excel, but there is a grid function within the page builder content widget if you prefer to do it as you go. I find it's easier to copy and paste content like that. So we've gone through and we've looked and realized that we forgot to add one set of our content. So it's pretty easy to go back and edit a page, especially in the new tool. So we're going to add another content widget. And you'll hit done. And then it'll show at the bottom of your list. All you have to do is click the bars to drag it up to the top or where you want it on the page where it's missing. Hit save. And now you've rearranged the page. So we're going to go through and add our missing content. Instead of having to reformat everything, we've just added a space for it. And then we'll go through and put a nice title on this as well. And we now have a comparison page. You can edit the format of your page title right there just by clicking the title. So if you made a mistake like I did and didn't put an uppercase F, you'd be able to change that very easily. And now our page is done. So as I mentioned earlier, the lead forms. If you can retitle it in the gear, and so for this we would be tell us about the 22 F-150. And then we'll hit save and it will retitle your lead form. And then that will also show on the leads that come from your dealer.com website. So now we're going to see what the page looks like live, just to make sure that it looks the way we want it to. I like to do things in multiple windows. That way I'm not constantly having to close out and go back in. Multiple screens is very helpful when you're working on a page design. And now we have a 22 F-150 comparison page. One thing also that I wanted to mention is that if you're creating a page with a long title, you can shorten and rename the URL while you're making the page. So for this one, we want the page title to be Lease Returns Easy at Lexus of Pendery. And remove the extra. And then you would the same and so the reasons behind a comparison page could be, numerous depending on the dealership. It could be for lead generation, attractive new way to showcase your model, unique content for the website, all of which are very important. And the last scenario that I chose was just to show you in Page Designer how you can alter your mobile layout without altering your desktop. You're probably thinking this is cool, but you've only shown the desktop. That's why I'm going to show you the mobile options now. One thing to note is that all of your desktop content is automatically going to look great if it's built in Page Designer on a mobile page. But there are options for editing the content. So on these screens, as you can see in the top left, there's a little computer icon next to the Page Designer title. This is where you can select to edit on this device only or all devices. Below that, if you wanted to make a change, it would ask you for desktop or mobile if you're reordering your page. And then on the right side, it shows you the display of how it would look, and then you can drag and drop and then hit save. So when you're reordering, again, this is another screenshot. You can do this device only or all devices. Another fun tip I have for you guys is that you can easily rename a section so that you know which one that you're working on. Sometimes it's more relevant to the person working on the page to call it something like secondary SEO content, because that's where they know they're working at on the page. So with the Page Designer, you can easily go through and rename all of your sections on your page in a way that makes sense for you. Go in there and refresh, and it now says secondary SEO content instead of SEO content. I know that I've said easy a lot, but it really is that easy. And I really just want to impress that once you get comfortable with this tool, it is so easy and it's so much fun to build pages. So one thing to note, mobile pages are mobile first and responsive in the new Page Designer. You may want to rearrange based on wanting your CTAs higher up the page. You may want your lead generators higher up the page, or just reduce and rearrange the content on mobile only. You may want to do less images, less content. The options are endless with being able to change just one format or the other. So I will quickly run through what we just learned, and then we're going to hop into the questions. So we did a quick tour of the cool new tool. We've covered some example scenarios and tricks, and hopefully I gave you guys some best practices or tips or tricks you hadn't thought of before to take away from this. I do want to note that the performance management organization is always here to help. Reaching out to your PM with any additional questions or training needs after this is very important. We love talking about this tool. We love using it. We want to help you. And so, we covered tips and tricks, multiple page scenarios, changing mobile section order. But just to reiterate, we love talking about Page Designer and we want to help. So since we only kind of ran through it quickly today, please reach out to your performance manager if you have any questions or need any additional training with it. Jack, is this where we should check in on questions?
Yeah, so before we get into questions, I just want to remind everybody, in case you joined late, that you can enter your questions in the GoToWebinar console on the right-hand side of the screen. We have had a few come in already, so we can get into those now. First up, is there a way to tell if a page is still being used or if it's obsolete and can be deleted?
The easiest way that I would check that, and I may defer to Dana and Ben on this to see if there's a trickier way. But I would look in analytics and search that page title and page path to see if it's getting any action. If you're recreating a new page to replace an old page, my advice is always to redirect to where you would rather see the traffic go instead of deleting a page.
All right, next question. How can I reorder sections?
That is super easy. All you have to do is click on the two bars on the right side of the title of your section and you can drag it up and down. And then you would just hit save.
All right, we've got another one here. So on mobile, this is just to confirm that on mobile, you don't have to go in to format it specifically for mobile. It happens automatically. Is this the same for pictures?
Correct. It's good. The page itself is mobile first and responsive. So you don't have to do any additional editing to make a page look good on mobile unless there are changes you've chosen to make, like limiting content. And there is the odd time that maybe a smaller version of an image will look better, but generally the larger ones look better and we can just size them. Size the widget.
All right, I've got another one here. Can we convert old pages to the new designer or do we have to redo the page?
You can absolutely convert an old page to a new page. That would be probably a fun thing to have your performance manager show you how to do. I don't actually have a recording of that handy. But basically what you could do is go in to edit the page and click into sections. And it's going to ask if you want to apply the technology to the page and make a draft, essentially. I can't remember the words off the top of my head, but it's super simple either way. But that's definitely something we'd be happy to help with until you get the hang of it.
So a little bit more on that note, how do you publish a draft?
If you're in the draft, it's going to have a bar across the top of your screen, and it's actually going to give you the option to publish. One thing that you want to note is if it asks you if you want to publish all drafts, I would go into your drafts folder and select the one that you wish to publish and do it that way. You don't want to accidentally publish everything you're working on if only one page is ready to go.
Okay, another one here. Can a lead form have a border or a background to help separate it from the rest of the page?
It can. You can do a background. You could put a photo behind it. There's really anything you could do with any of the sections you could do behind a lead form.
Okay, let's see. Can you hide a section?
You can. There is, I believe it's 3 little buttons. I thought I had taken a screenshot, but clearly I did not. But you can hide it just by clicking into it, and you have to open. No, sorry, you open into the widget on the page, and then you hide it there. It's not in the sections list unless that's someplace that I don't know where it is.
Yeah, so you'll click on the section in the Page Designer panel, and then from there, there's the option to set to hidden as true. And that will allow you to, for example, hide something only on desktop or only on mobile, or hide it until you want to use it later on.
That was a much better description than what I came up with. Thank you.
All right, we've got another one here. Are all pages created with the Page Designer ADA compliant?
I'm going to let you take this one, Ben.
So generally, the pre-built sections that we make available are using our most up-to-date widgets and technology. So as we make enhancements to our platform, they will become more and more ADA compliant. So moving forward, we'll definitely be making progress in that area, but you're in pretty good shape when using these sections through Page Designer.
Thank you.
All right, another one just came in. How can I get the page designer option on our finance page? It doesn't look like there's an option for that.
That looks like that would probably be one of those pages that you would want to work with your performance manager to convert if it's not something that you've done before. It is something that is super easy for us to help with. You could also call into support if it was something you just wanted to do quickly. Either one of us can help.
All right, we've got another viewer wondering if there's something in Page Designer to design 2 columns with a section for a YouTube video on the left and text on the right.
Yep, there's so many options, but you could do that. I mean, with the 50/50 widget, like the one I showed earlier that had the KBB tool on the right side, you could put any 2 things on either side. The 50/50 basically just holds the space. So you could, within that, place a content widget on one side and a YouTube widget on the other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you. Another viewer asks, we have premium SEO for our stores. Will building new pages in-house interfere with similar DDC efforts?
I wouldn't think that it would interfere. Your SEO analyst, especially on premium, probably has a quarterly plan working for you guys of pages that they're working on. I would always collaborate with them, and you don't want to do double work either. So making sure that you're not working on something that they've already got planned for you would be probably ideal. But they're pretty good about relaying their plans each month also. So I wouldn't see that you would be hurting anything by any means, unless it was competing content.
All right, thanks, Leslie. Another question for you. Can you add raw HTML in the page designer, or do we have to call in to have that added like we have in the past?
You do not have to call in any longer if you're using Page Designer to build your page. You can add that raw HTML widget to your heart's content. Which I know is super exciting for the people that use it.
Let's see. Can you add inventory to a page?
You absolutely can. Right now, I recommend partnering with support or your performance manager to do so, just to make sure that you have the right set of inventory on your page. We don't have an external control to edit the configuration just yet.
All right, here's another one. Can I share a page draft to another user for them to review?
100%. Every draft will have its own link, and it will be at the top of the page. You can it'll say copy link, I believe, and you can view the URL that way. It's also a great way to verify what your page is looking like live, but you can share that with any other users also so that they can see it. If you're wanting them to make edits, they're going to need to log into Control Center though and enter through the drafts.
All right, let's just give it another moment here to see if we have any more come in. All right. Will we be releasing a 2-to-1 content image layout anytime soon? Ben, this one feels like it might be for you.
Yeah, so we've just today put out a 1/3, 2/3 layout. It does start out empty, so you'll need to add whatever widgets or use Page Designer to add background images to those containers, but you'll be able to achieve that display.
All right, thanks.
That was one of, yeah. So that was one of the new technologies that I heard rumor of launching.
Leslie, this is related to a prior question. So how do you go about adding inventory that you just talked about?
There's actually a technology in sections called inventory, and you could place it where you wanted it on the page and then just call us or support to configure it for you. You absolutely can add it to the page now. Just to get the right level of inventory, I recommend working with us or support.
All right, thanks. Will there be a page designer update for staff pages?
Sounds like another one for me. We don't have a timeline right now for revamping and redesigning the staff page and transferring it over to page designer in sections, but it is something that we have in our roadmap. Just not a timeline we can share as of yet.
All right, let's see. I'm not seeing any more come in here. All right, so it looks like we don't have any more questions coming in, so we'll go ahead and wrap up today's webinar. Leslie, thank you so much for an informative session. I certainly hope everybody found today helpful. As always, we appreciate your attendance and encourage you to reach out to our team if you do have any additional questions.
Yeah. And then I just want to chime in with a huge thank you to everyone who took time out of their day today to spend an hour with me talking about Page Designer. It's an awesome adventure. It's a great tool. Like I said, we're happy to always talk about it. So please reach out with any questions. We definitely appreciate your time.
Thanks, and have a good day.
Thanks, everybody.